Welcome fellow action figure collectors to another episode of Beyond the Cardback. I'm Trooper TK314 and today we're taking a look at the Marvel Legends Shang-Chi wave. That's right guys, today we're taking a look at the Marvel Legends Shang-Chi wave. If this is your first time to my channel, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. First up is Shang-Chi. On the back there's a short bio that reads,
Trained since childhood by the mysterious Ten Rings organization, Shang-Chi must confront the past he thought he left behind when he is drawn back into his father's web.
Here's Shang-Chi out of the box, and this is a fantastic figure. The face sculpt is just perfect. I really do look at face sculpts when I go to pick them out at the store. This one had no paint defects whatsoever that I could see. I like the accessories that he comes with. I like the outfit that he's wearing. It looks great all the way down to the shoes. I think those are really cool looking. They go right with this outfit. Here's a closer look at that head sculpt, and you can see it looks fantastic. It really does look lifelike, but with articulation he is able to look up, look down. Of course it rotates 360 and it does go forward and back just a little bit. Moving down to the arms, they do rotate 360. They come out to this far. Of course we got the bicep swivel, which is spinning the whole joint, and then down to the elbows, which we do get double elbows, and look at that, that looks great. And then looking at his arms, down to the hands, they rotate 360. These hands hinge up and hinge down. And then looking at his torso, he does have an ab crunch, so he hinges that far back, which is impressive. He hinges this far forward. And he does have a waist swivel. The only thing I don't like is if you put him in some dynamic poses, it kind of breaks that seam line right there. But then looking down at his legs, he is able to do split that far, and then of course he does have a thigh swivel, and then we've got double hinge knees. Oh, they've been great. Look at that, that looks fantastic. And then on down to his feet, they hinge down, they hinge up, and there's a forward facing pin for rocker. Accessory wise, he comes with 2 claw hands and 2 thumb to index finger hands. Next is Wenwu.
Shang-Chi's father, Wenwu, is the feared leader of the Ten Rings organization, which has lurked in the shadows of the MCU since the very beginning.
Here's Wenwu out of the box, and once again, look at that face sculpt. This photoreal, whatever it's called, looks great. I mean, this, you would almost think this may be a Mayfix or an import custom or something. But look at the armor, it looks great. I love blue, as you know, that's my favorite color. Looking down at the skirt, you can see the intricate patterns right there. It looks great. There's no paint defects on mine whatsoever. It looks fantastic. Even all the way down to the boots, you can see some of the etching there on the top. But he's really, really cool looking. Articulation, he is able to look up, look down, tilt side to side, and a little bit of forward back action right there. His arms do rotate 360. Well, and when I say that, I mean his left arm rotates 360. Of course, we got a bicep swivel, and then the elbows, once again, double hinged. Mine are just a little bit tight. There we go. But once again, great movement. The hands do rotate 360. They hinge up and hinge down. And then on this side, you have that pauldron, which gets in the way. The arm still rotates 360. But it is glued down, and if you go too far, you can rip it, and you can see I've started to rip it a little bit. I didn't mean to. But it does go out this far, and of course you get the same bend at the elbow. Then moving down to the torso, he's on a ball hinge, no ab crunch. He does get 360 rotation, and then the skirt is kind of a semi-loose piece. You can push it up a little bit, but he does not get much leg movement at all. That's as far split as you're going to get. Kicking out, hardly anything. There is a thigh swivel. It's up in there, obviously, but it does rotate 360, and the skirt gets in the way of the knees. He does have double hinge knees, but unless you push that skirt, that's as far as you're going to go. And then looking down at his feet, there is no boot hinge, which sometimes we do get, but his feet do hinge up they hinge down, and there's a forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, he comes with this kind of axe looking sword thing with a little bit of a hook right there. I think you can hold it on either end depending on what you want to do. I don't know what it's actually called, but it looks pretty cool. He also comes with alternate hands. He comes with 2 fist hands and 2 claw-like hands, but a little bit different than Shang-Chi's. Here's Xiling out of the package, and she is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, stunning. I can't go on about these face sculpts, how wonderful these are. This Shang-Chi wave is really almost compatible to an import figure, but the face sculpt looks great. Look at the artwork on the tunic there. It looks great. Straight lines. They look perfect. No paint defects that I can see. All the way down to the pants, which they're just a nice shiny black material. And of course the weapon that she's holding right there. Articulation, she is able to look up, look down. She can tilt from side to side and a little bit of forward and back action. Her arms do rotate 360. They come out to about right there. We do have a little bit more than a 90-degree bend at the elbow, and these are the hands she come with out of the box, and they hinge up, hinge down, and rotate 360. Then looking at her torso, she does have a torso hinge right there, and you can see that there is something, I think it's like a ball joint up in there, so if you go too far back, you know, it'll break the seams. She doesn't go forward that well. So I wish they could have put more movement right there, but I can see why, because they didn't want to interrupt the facade right here. And this piece is actually loose in its own way. But her legs, they do go out to about right there. She does have a thigh swivel. Her knees double hinged. Get up that far, looks great. No boot hinge, but the feet do hinge down. They hinge up, and there's a forward facing pin for rocker. Accessory wise, she does come with this like rope and dagger kind of set. I do have a little bit of a paint bleed right there, so I'm guessing that this is actually red and they painted it that cream color. I will say this is the wave of hands, so she comes with 2 karate hands, 2 fisted hands, 1 grip hand to hold the weapon, and she either comes with 2 mafioso looking hands for an Italian or a chef's kiss. Either one.
Death Dealer is one of the most formidable opponents Shang-Chi has ever faced.
Once again, that head sculpt, perfect lines, no paint mistakes. Look at that tunic, the texturing, the weathering, the detail that went into that. Look at the boots there on the side, you can see that. Perfect, no paint mess ups, anything. This is great. Here's a closer look at the Death Dealer, and look at that, you can almost see the eyes in the mask. And it's kind of creepy just a little bit, but that looks good. Look at the texturing on the tunic, down to the boots right there. Looks fantastic there. The detail on the guards right there, the arm guards, and of course the back, we've got some knobs. But with that being said, his head is on a ball joint, so he looks up just a little bit. He can look down very, very well. It's on a ball joint. He gets a little bit of tilt and not much forward and back. Looking at his arms, they do rotate 360. They come out to about right there. There is a bicep swivel, which moves the whole arm. And then you get to the elbows. They are double hinged, but they get a pretty good bend right there. That looks pretty good. And then looking at the hands, these are the ones that he comes with, not out of the box, but are the accessories. They hinge up, they hinge down, and they rotate 360. And then looking over here at this one, just to go ahead and show it off, he does have a throwing dagger hand, and it looks really cool. It also rotates 360. It can hinge up or hinge down, depending on how you want those daggers to be thrown. He does have, it feels like a torso bend, but you can't see it because this right here is traffic coning him. He does not move very well. There is a waist swivel as well. To get the legs to utilize the waist swivel, you have to pull the legs forward and swivel it back and forth like that. But as you can see, the plastic kind of folds right there, messes up just a little bit. But his legs do go out this far. There is a thigh swivel, and you do have double hinged knees. so they go up that far. And then looking down at the boots, the foot hinges down, it can hinge up, and there's a forward facing pin for a rocker. For accessories, like I said, he does come with this dagger throwing hand. The dagger's in the hand, it doesn't come out, it's actually glued in there, so it's actually part of the hand. And then over here you do have your dagger throwing hand, and it really is a nice effect to see those daggers being thrown. Out of the box though, he comes with these open splayed hands or ready to attack hands.
Civil Warrior. In an alternate Earth ravaged by civil war, Captain America assumes the mantle of Civil Warrior.
Here's Civil Warrior out of the package, and he looks great all the way from the helmet down to the boots. I love the metal armored look. I like the pants down to the texturing. Of course, we got the arc reactor shield that looks fantastic. Said he is able to look up really well, look down, and of course it can rotate 360, and he gets a little bit of forward and back. Then looking at his arms, they do rotate 360, and there is some red in different areas, which I think is cool. Right under the armpits, the hands there. He does have a bicep swivel. There is an armor pad and double hinged elbows. That's as much bend as you get. Looking down at the torso, he does have a ab crunch. He is able to crunch back this far, which is crazy. You can see all the way up in there. And then crunch forward, not as much, but at least it's there. I do like the brown belt. I like how the different colors are working together here. He does have a waist swivel, rotates 360. The belt does not float, it's just glued in place. His legs go out this far. He does have a thigh swivel. Looking down at his knees, double hinge, but that's as far as you're going to get. Once again, I like the red right there at the ankle. They hinge down, they hinge forward, and some great swivel and a forward facing pin for a rocker. For accessories, he does come with this arc reactor shield, and it looks really good. I do like the weathering on it. I know some of the customizers may put a bit of a dark wash on it to weather it even more, but I do like the intricacy on the back of the shield. I think that looks really good as well. There is no peg on the back of Civil Warrior for the shield to like go on his back or anything, so I don't really, that's just complete reuse. But it does have the fold down hinge. You just line it up and it clips right onto his arm. Looks great. Here's the Iron Man Tony Stark AI figure out of the box, and it looks great. I love the holographic head that comes with it. It has two different kinds of paint on it to put some contrast in there. Of course, he's on the 80th anniversary armor skin, but it's a different paint setup, so it looks great, and the arc reactor matches the AI form. Tony Stark AI is really cool. The head sculpt is just what makes this figure. That looks great. You can see they use two different types of blues for the eyebrows, the goatee, and the pupils, just to give it that contrast, because if you put a light or anything behind him, it will look holographic. It looks fantastic. The cool thing about this is you can take the head off, and you can put on the helmeted head, which just pops right on. I can do it. Or not. It is hard. It's very hard behind the camera strength. So as I was saying, you could put the helmeted head on and you have a complete Iron Man. I know some people weren't happy with the arc reactor being that color blue, but it doesn't bother me because I don't have the 80th anniversary Iron Man, so I have this one and I really like it. With that being said, he is able to look up great, look down, can rotate 360, and there is just a little bit of tilt from side to side. And then looking at his arms, they do rotate 360. They come up that far. There is a bicep swivel, which moves the whole arm. And then we do have double hinged elbows. They bend that much in, looks great. The hands do rotate 360. They also hinge up and hinge down. And then looking at his torso, he also has an ab crunch. So you can crunch forward, you can crunch back. Looks great for flying poses. He does have a waist swivel, 360. Looking at his legs, they kick out this far, pretty good. And then a thigh swivel, 360, double hinge knees, and he goes up that far, looks great. And then with this one, we do have a boot swivel. I don't think it's at the top right here. I think it's actually, no it is. it's at the top, so we do have a boot swivel of 360. Looking down at the feet, they hinge up, they hinge down, and there's a forward-facing pin for rocker. Accessory-wise, we get the usual repulsor blaster hands with the repulsor effects, and you can also take those effects off. There are holes in the bottom, peg holes in the bottom, and you can just attach them if you want him to fly or if you need him to shoot. Last but not least is the Marvel's Build-A-Figure for this wave, and it is Mr. Hyde. And he's a cool figure. I have no attachment to him. I've read no comic books with him. I have no clue who this character is except for reading the book of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But he looks cool. He's a big chunky figure. He's got some great paint apps in the face. This wave was really been face oriented. All the faces looked great. But let's go ahead and look at some of his articulation. And here's a closer look at Mr. Hyde, and he looks great. I mean, look at the eyes. You can just see the veins bulging, the red. That looks really cool. He looks like he's pissed off. But the head is able to look down. He looks up just a little bit. Of course, you can rotate from side to side. You can 360 if you would like, but I don't know why you would. Of course, there's his bow tie. Not many paint defects. Looks pretty good. It's normal suit body. Looks cool. The arms come up to about right there. They do rotate 360. Of course, the elbows bend not quite 90, but looking at his hands, you can see the fur there. I mean, the detail looks great. Look at the nails. You can see they're roughed up. The hands do rotate 360. This one hinges up and down or side to side, depending on how you're holding him. And then this one, that fur looks great. I mean, it is some good details, some weathering, even though I don't know who the character really is. But it does also hinge side to side or up and down, depending on how you're holding him. He does not have much ab movement there. He does rotate 360. And looking at his legs, they kick out that far. And they do go out to the side this far. And single hinge. And for the bigger characters, we're used to that. Looking down, the pants do get in the way of some of the articulation. They do hinge up, they hinge down just a little bit, and there's just a little bit of a forward-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Mr. Hyde comes with this cane, and nothing special about it. I mean, there's some nicks and dings in the plastic there, and one could argue they didn't know that and it was just that way out of the package. I mean, that's how it was shipped. No, I'm just picking. But he does hold on to it very nicely. I guess that's one of his weapons. Maybe he can beat people to death with it. I don't know. This concludes my Shang-Chi Marvel Legends Wave review. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite or which one that you think you're going to pass on. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Beyond the Force. There's a link in the description below. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and may the Force be with you.